Hello great folks, welcome back to my channel. So today we'll be looking at paper 2, and in paper 2 we're going to be looking specifically at how to calculate distance, how to calculate speed, and how to calculate time. So first thing first, before we can get into details about the topic, I need to show you guys this method, this triangle that I have been using to calculate speed, distance, and time ever since I was in grade 10, and it has always worked out for me. It is a very easy method of calculating, and it is also very easy to understand and memorize as well. So as you can see, we have distance, we have speed, we have time. So first thing first, the most important things you need to know when it comes to calculating distance, speed, and time is that your distance, when you write the formula, distance should always be in kilometers, your speed should always be in kilometers per hour, and your time should always be in hours. So if you've been given your distance in centimeters or meters, for instance, you have to convert your distance to kilometers first before you can start working with the formulas. If you've been given your time in minutes or seconds, you have to convert it to hours first, or else your answer will not be correct. So this is how the triangle works. So it's distance. The formula to calculate distance is speed multiplied by time. So the vertical line stands for multiplication and the horizontal line stands for division. So let's look at the formulas. You will understand what I mean by the lines. So let's say we're now calculating distance. The formula for distance says that distance equals to speed multiplied by time. Distance equals to speed multiplied by time. So this line represents multiplication. So when you calculate distance, you're going to say distance equals to speed multiplied by time, because this line represents multiplication. Now let's look at the formula to calculate speed. So it says that speed equals to distance divided by time. So it's speed equals to distance divided. This line represents division. It represents division. So when you calculate speed, you're going to say distance divide by time. And now let's look at the formula to calculate time. It's time equals to distance divided by speed. So when we calculate time, we say time equals to distance divided. We divide because this line represents what? It represents division. So you're going to say time equals to distance divided by speed. So this is the method that I've been using to calculate distance, to calculate speed, and to calculate time as well. It has always worked out for me, and if you understand it, it is definitely going to work out for you as well. So please make sure that you memorize this method and make sure that you write it at the back of your answer sheet when they give you an answer sheet in the exam room, so that you do not forget it. So now that we know how to work out with the formulas and how to use this triangle, we are now going to start with distance, how to calculate distance. We have an example here of a question that says that a car travels at an average speed of 64 kilometers per hour for 97 minutes. Calculate the distance traveled by the car. So if you look, we are now calculating the what? The distance, right? So they tell us that a car travels at an average speed of 64 kilometers for 97 minutes. So if you look at what we have on the information that we've been given, we have the average speed, which is 64 kilometers per hour, and we also have time in 97 minutes. So before we can start with the calculations, let's check if the information that we've been given is written in the units that it has to be written in. So the average speed should be written in kilometers per hour, and it has been written in kilometers per hour here, so it is fine. We do not have to change anything or convert anything. Now let's look at the time. We've been given our time in minutes, and remember I told you that time should always be in hours. So that means that we have to do what? We have to convert 97 minutes to hours before we can even start at looking at the formula. we have to do what? We have to convert first. So here's how we're going to answer this question. Let me read the question once again. A car travels at an average speed of 64 kilometers per hour for 97 minutes. Calculate the distance traveled by the car. So first, we convert 97 minutes to hours so that we can be able to use it on the formula. So we're going to say that it's 97 minutes. So we all know that an hour is 60 minutes. So that means that we have to do what? We already know that we have an hour in these minutes. So we're going to minus that hour. So we're going to say 97 minutes minus 60 minutes. 60 minutes, which is 1 hour, right? So that leaves us with 97 minus 60. It leaves us with 37 minutes. 37 minutes, right? So that means that the time is what? Is 1 hour 37 minutes. But we still have minutes. We have to convert these minutes to hours, because remember what I told you, your time should always be in hours. It should not have any minutes or any seconds in it. It should always be in hours. So we have an hour and 37 minutes. Now we have to convert the 37 minutes to hours. So it's 37 minutes. We all know that when we convert from minutes to hours, we do what? We divide by 60, because 1 hour has 60 minutes. So that means that we're going to say 37 minutes divide by 60. That will give us 37 minutes in hours. So it's 37 divided by 60. It gives us 0.61666666667, right? Which means it's 0.62 hours, right? So that means we have 1 hour and 0.62 hours. That means it's 1 hour. Let me write that here. I don't have space here. So it's 1 hour plus 0.62 hours, right? That means we have 1 hour. We have 1.62 hours. So this is our time. We now have our time in hours. We can now use the formula. So we're calculating the what? The distance. And the formula says distance equals to speed multiplied by time, right? So we're calculating the distance equals to speed. What is the speed that we've been given? The speed is 64 kilometers per hour. 64 kilometers per hour multiplied by the time which was 97 minutes, and we converted it to hours. It is now 1.62 hours. 1.62. So we're going to press that quickly on our calculator. 64 multiplied by 1.62. That gives us a total of 103.68 kilometers. So this is our final answer. So this means that a car that traveled an average speed of 64 kilometers per hour for 97 minutes covers a total distance of 103 kilometers 0.68. So that means that our answer here is 103.68 kilometers. So let's take a look at a similar question to see that if we really understood the previous one that I just shown to you. So before I can write the answers, please pause the video, take a screenshot of the video, or just copy the question and try to answer it before you can actually look at the answer that I'm going to write here to see if you really understood. So looking at the question, they say that a car travels at an average speed of 50 kilometers per hour for 1.5 hours. Calculate the distance traveled by the car. So now in this scenario, we have been given the average speed in 50 kilometers per hour, which is the correct unit that we're supposed to use. And we've been given time in 1.5 hours, which is also correct. We've been given time in hours, and time is supposed to be in hours. So now that we've been given time in hours, this means that we do not have to convert anything, because already the time has been given to us in hours. That means we're just going to take it as it is and put it on the formula and get an answer. So now they say a car travels at an average speed of 50 kilometers per hour for 1.5 hours. Calculate the distance traveled by the car. So we're going to take the formula, which is distance equals to speed multiplied by time, right? So our speed is 50 kilometers per hour. 50 kilometers per hour, which is our average speed, multiplied by the time. We've been given time as 1.5 hours. So we're just going to press this on the calculator as it is. We're going to say 50 multiplied by 1.5. That gives us 75 kilometer. So this is the final answer. We were calculating what? The distance that has been traveled by the car that has been going at an average speed of 50 kilometers for 1 hour 30 minutes. 1.5 hours equals to 1 hour 30 minutes. I hope we all know that. And yeah, if you got this correct, that means that you have understood the previous example that I showed you. And if you didn't get this correct, please go back and rewatch the previous example and listen very carefully from the beginning and try to answer the question again. You will get it right. If you listen, you will understand. Now let us go to speed. And we are now going to look at speed. So the question says that a car traveled a distance of 240 kilometers in 3 hours. Calculate the average speed of the car. So now we are looking at speed. So at the speed, when we calculate speed, we have been given a distance and we've also been given time. So these are the things that we need. Speed equals to distance. We do have distance, which is 240 kilometers, and divided by time. Time, we do have time, which is 3 hours. So now we look. We have been given everything in the required units. We've been given time in hours and we've been given distance in kilometers. So we don't have to convert or change anything. We just have to take it as it is and put it on the formula and get our answer. So we're looking at speed. The formula to calculate speed is speed equals to distance divided by time, right? A car traveled a distance of 240 kilometers. So our distance is 240 kilometers in 3 hours. So 3 hours is our time. We're going to put 3 hours, right? So what we have to do now is to say 240 kilometers divided by 3 hours. That gives us 80 kilometers per hour. So remember, we're now calculating the speed, and I told you that your speed should always be in kilometers per hour. Kilometers per hour. So your final answer should be written as kilometers per hour. If you just write 80 kilometers, your answer will be incorrect, because that means that when you're calculating speed, you're calculating distance, not speed. Speed should be in kilometers per hour. So this is our final answer. And yeah, this is how we calculate speed. So still on speed, we're now working on another example. Please pause the video, try to answer the question, and then look at the answer after that to see that if you really do understand what I'm teaching you. So our second example say that a car traveled a distance of 320 kilometers in 2 hours 30 minutes. Calculate the average speed of the car. So now when you look at the time, we've been given time as 2 hours 30 minutes. So our time is in hours and minutes. So we have to convert these 30 minutes to hours so that our whole time could be in hours. So before we can go to the formula, I hope that you have already gotten it by now. Before we go to the formula, we have to convert our time to hours. So our time is 2 hours 30 minutes, right? So that means we have to convert 30 minutes to hours, right? And add it with 2 hours. So we're going to say 30 divided by 60. So this is how we convert from minutes to hours. We divide by 60. And if we were converting from hours to minutes, we were going to multiply by 60. But because we're going from minutes to hours, we divide by 60. So when we say 30 divided by 60, 80 divided by 60, it gives us 0.5. So 0.5 hours. So 30 minutes is equivalent to 0.5 hours. So now we're going to say 0.5 hours plus the 2 hours that we already had. So it's going to be 2 hours plus 0.5 hours, right? So it's going to be 2.05 hours. So we now have our time in hours. We are not done answering the question. We were just converting our time to hours. Now that we have the time in hours, we can now use it on the formula. We can now substitute it on the formula. So the formula to calculate speed is speed equals to distance divided by time. Usually they do give you these formulas, but please, I need you guys to memorize this triangle and know to write the formulas by yourself, because sometimes they will not give you formulas, or they will just give you formulas which will complicate you. So please just try to memorize these formulas. You'll never go wrong. So now we are substituting on our formula. So distance, our distance is 320 kilometers. 320 kilometers divided by the time which was 2 hours 30 minutes, and we converted it to hours, and it is now 2. Oh my god, I'm so sorry, it's 2.5, not 2.05. It's 2.5 hours. Please remove the 0. It's supposed to be 2.5 hours, not 2.05 hours. I made a mistake. So we're going to say 320 kilometers divided by 2.5 hours, and press that on the calculator. 320 divided by 2.5, so that gives us 128 kilometers per hour. Remember, it's speed, it has to be in kilometers per hour. I told you at the beginning of the video that your speed should always be in kilometers per hour. So this is our final answer. This means that for this car to cover a distance of 320 kilometers in a time of 2 hours 30 minutes, it had to travel with an average speed of 128 kilometers per hour. So this is how we work with speed. Let's now go to time. We are now on time, and the question says that calculate how long a flight going at an average speed of 200 kilometers per hour would take to fly from Johannesburg to Cape Town if the distance from Johannesburg to Cape Town is 840 kilometers. The question goes on and say that write your answer in hours and minutes. So we've been given a criteria here. The criteria says that our answer should be written in hours and minutes. It shouldn't just be in hours. I know that I told you that your time should always be in hours, but here they told us that we have to write it in hours and minutes. So this is how we're going to do it. So we're just going to copy the formula to calculate time, which says time equals to distance divided by speed, right? So we are now calculating time. Let's go back to our question and look at the distance, what our distance is. So they say that calculate how long a flight going at an average speed of 200 kilometers per hour. So this is the speed. We are now looking for the distance, not speed. Would take to fly from Johannesburg to Cape Town if the distance from Johannesburg to Cape Town is 840 kilometers. So 840 kilometers is our distance. Distance from Cape Town, from Johannesburg to Cape Town, is 840 kilometers. So D stands for distance. We're going to put 840 kilometers on D, divide by S for speed. Now let's go back to the question and look for the speed. So they say calculate how long a flight going at an average speed of 200 kilometers per hour. That is our speed, and we're going to substitute it on the formula. Speed is 200 kilometers per hour. Where did I put the calculator? 200 kilometers per hour. 200 kilometers per hour. So we're per hour, sorry. So we're now going to divide these two and say 840 kilometers divided by 200. So that gives us 4.2 hours. So it would take this flight 4.2 hours to travel from Johannesburg to Cape Town if it is traveling at an average speed of 200 kilometers per hour. So remember, the question told us that we should write our answer in hours and minutes. And when it is like this, it is only in hours. So let's turn it into hours and minutes. So when the time is like this, it means that we have 4 hours. We have 4 hours and 0.2 hours, right? So so now we have to convert 0.2 hours into minutes. 0.2 hours. Remember, when it's like this, it's 4 plus 0.2. It makes 4.2 hours. So that means we have 4 hours and 0.2 hours. So the hours, we just leave it as it is, but the decimal one, we have to take it and convert it to minutes because our time should be in hours and minutes. So we're going to convert 0.2 hours into minutes. 0.2 hours. And remember, when we're converting from hours to minutes, we do what? We multiply by 60. So that means we're going to say 0.2 multiplied by 60. That gives us, okay, was it 0.2 multiplied by 60? That gives us 12 minutes. 12 minutes. So that means that the time is, let me just write it here. So that means that the time is 4 hours and 12 minutes. So this is our final answer, which is 4 hours and 12 minutes. So this is how long it is going to take this flight to travel from Johannesburg to Cape Town if it is traveling at an average speed of 200 kilometers per hour, and the distance from Johannesburg to Cape Town is 840 kilometers. So this is how we calculate time. I'm going to give you an activity that I want you guys to write, and then I'm going to give you answers after that. Okay, so still on time, here's another activity. Please pause the video, try to answer the question first, and then look at the answers after attempting to answer the question to see if you really understand or not. So the last question says that calculate how long a flight going at an average speed of 240 kilometers per hour would take to fly from Johannesburg to Polokwane if the distance from Johannesburg to Polokwane is 472 kilometers. Let me read the question again. Calculate how long a flight going at an average speed of 240 kilometers per hour would take to fly from Johannesburg to Polokwane if the distance from Johannesburg to Polokwane is 472 kilometers. So there is nothing that there is nothing confusing or nothing that complicates the question here. The question is straightforward. They tell you what to do. So you just have to take the formula and substitute and get the answer. So we're calculating time. Time equals to distance divided by speed, right? So let's look for the distance. Calculate how long a flight going at an average speed, this is the speed, would take to fly from Johannesburg to Polokwane if the distance is 472 kilometers. 472 kilometers. I hope you guys got this one correct. This is actually the easiest of them all. 472 kilometers divided by speed, and the speed is 240 kilometers per hour. It should give us the time in hours. So it's 472 divided by 240. It gives us 1.97 hours. So that means that it takes the flight 1.97 hours to travel from Johannesburg to Polokwane if the distance from Johannesburg to Polokwane is 472 kilometers and the flight is going at an average speed of 240 kilometers. This is the final answer. I hope you guys understood these questions. I hope now we all know how to calculate distance, speed, and time. And thank you so much for watching the video. I hope it was really helpful. May goodness and grace lead you to the great heights of success.